In news headlines this week, cut back on the booze, doctor's orders. Egg freezing program gets a cold reception. And eating more fruit and veg may cheer you up.
This is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
Hello, it's great to be with you for another week of news, views and interviews. Welcome to Record in Focus. And because we like to keep you on your toes, we're mixing things up a bit this week. We've got Sibel Coutet at the news desk.
It's great to be here, Kent, thanks. But unfortunately, Danielle's not quite 100%.
Yeah, well, God willing, she'll be back with us next week. Now, Sibel, does your family sponsor a child?
It's something that the kids are actually looking into at the moment.
Okay, well, you'll be very interested in our interview today because we're going to be chatting with Brad Watson from Avondale College of Education. He's been working on a PhD on the topic of child sponsorship, which is actually quite a controversial topic in some circles.
I'll be watching out for it, thank you.
What else? I caught up with James Standish earlier for Freedom in Focus, and for sporty people like yourself, Sibel, because I know you're a bit of a jogger, Sue Rad has the lowdown on those energy drinks.
That's fascinating. Speaking of drinking, Kent, Australia's doctors are urging the federal government to take strong action in response to the nation's alcohol problem. The Australian Medical Association, or AMA, says alcohol kills 15 Australians every day and is responsible for economic losses of up to $36 billion per year. The AMA wants the government to tax cheap drinks more heavily and to step in to regulate alcohol advertising and promotion in sport. Both the government and the federal opposition have made public statements recognising Australia's drinking problem, but neither has committed to making any policy changes. Community groups say the time for lip service has passed.
Look, governments often talk big but act small. And in the area of alcohol we have a major community problem. And I think they're a little wary because so many people drink, so many big industries are involved, so much taxation comes into the coffers from these areas. But we do know that if you do increase the tax, it does slow down the amount that would be consumed.
More than 660 churches around Australia set aside time last weekend to pray for victims of persecution in Iraq and Syria. The focus of Solidarity Sunday, or Solidarity Sabbath, was not just on the plight of Christians, but also on other religious minorities, including Yazidi and Shia Muslims, who have been targeted by ISIS militants. Some congregations committed to raising the issues not just in the church services, but in their local communities. Solidarity Sunday was an initiative of the Australian Christian Lobby. Doctrinal differences that have divided Christians for more than 1,500 years are being healed as church leaders come together for dialogue. The Council of Chalcedon in the year 451 AD saw the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches part ways with the Oriental Orthodox churches. At issue was the person of Christ, with disagreements emerging over how his divine and human natures were combined. Since the 1960s, however, Oriental Orthodox churches, which are strong in Ethiopia, Eritrea and Armenia, have been pursuing unity with other churches on their understanding of the nature of Christ. In the latest round of talks, Oriental Orthodox churches have released a doctrinal statement on Christology, together with the Anglican Communion. Statements on the compatibility of creation and evolution from Pope Francis have produced both dismay and celebration. According to the Religion News Service, the head of the world's 1.2 billion Catholics said the Big Bang Theory did not contradict the role of the divine creator, but actually required it. He also suggested that evolution is not opposed to the notion of creation, because evolution needs living things that can evolve. But despite the media attention the Pope's comments have attracted, they are consistent with statements from various popes since 1950. In contrast, the Seventh-day Adventist Church is seeking to strengthen its official stance on creation, with world church leaders last month recommending a statement on a recent six-day creation for approval by church members. For more details and analysis on both these stories, visit record.net.au. Revelations that tech giants Apple and Facebook are offering to pay for female employees to have their eggs frozen until they're ready to have children have been met with disgust by some church and family groups. According to The Tablet, Germany's Catholic bishops have been particularly scathing, saying the policy is totally wrong and sends the message that children are less important than career or economic concerns. Instead, they suggest workplaces should become more child-friendly so employees don't feel they're forced to choose between parenting and work. Christians in India say government policy is failing to support their most vulnerable members, while it continues to provide special assistance to Hindus, Buddhists and Sikhs. According to World Watch Monitor, the low-caste Dalit people, previously known as untouchables, receive job and education assistance in recognition of their social disadvantage. But if they're Christian or Muslim, the government officially considers them to be outside the Hindu caste system. Dalit Christians who have converted from Hinduism say changing religions does not raise their status in society or reduce discrimination, but only disadvantages them as they lose government assistance. They're calling for equal recognition with the rest of the Dalit population. The results of a student medical research project have gone viral, with major media organisations around the world reporting that vegetarianism causes a lower sperm count in men. A part of the shock value of the story is that the research comes out of Loma Linda University in California, a Seventh-day Adventist institution that has produced a number of major health studies demonstrating the many benefits of a plant-based diet. But according to Adventist Review, the lead researcher has said that while her results were consistent with other similar studies on diet and sperm count, her sample size was small, and the results were not clinically significant. And still on health, a University of Queensland study has found a link between eating at least 8 portions of fruit or vegetables every day and happiness. Respondents to a survey of more than 12,000 Australian adults who ate a lot of fruit and veg were also more likely to provide positive answers to questions about mental and emotional well-being. According to the ABC, researchers are not sure if it's the fruit and vegetables that are producing the happiness or if there are other factors involved. They say it's not the first study that has had similar results, but would still like to explore the connection in more detail. It's been called a cross between Chariots of Fire and Karate Kid. 1500 Steps is an Australian coming-of-age film with an eternal message. 1500 Steps is the first feature film directed by Josh Reed, who heads up Christian radio station Pulse FM in Wollongong. He says it's a different type of Christian film. 1500 Steps premieres on the 15th of November.
Is that a good time?
That is a very, very good time,
Yeah.
my boy.
And that's the news for this week. Kent?
Thanks, Abel. Now, we actually had Josh Reed in earlier this year for an interview. He's a great guy. He's clearly not afraid of a bit of hard work, Christian radio, writing a book, and now directing a film. Oh, and he's also a dad.
Wow, a busy man, and productive too.
Oh, you're not kidding. Hey, stay with us. Freedom in Focus is up next.